Welcome to my tutorial video here. My name is Bert Gonsalves, also known as Pocket from RevitPocket.com. I'm actually wanted to do a quick tutorial on a blog post that I've actually just posted not too long ago in regards to view templates. Something that I've been very diligent about using in my professional career, and I just wanted to kind of touch upon view templates quickly without getting into really in-depth conversation about it, but to show you the power of what they can do. As most people first get into Revit, they're mesmerized by how quickly you can cut a section or do an axometric and a variety of other things, which makes the software really great. So what I wanted to really talk about are the things that people don't generally know, but you do discover later on in, as you use the software more and more. And one of them is view templates. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to really dive into it right now and give you this little brief on view templates. So I'm actually using the file that came with the Revit software. It's basically the basic building sample that they provide with you. I felt it was relevant because when I first started using Revit, I used the sample project and started looking around into the project and so forth. So right now all I'm doing is I'm actually I'm going to level 1 in this particular file, and looking at this, you can see that there's a couple of graphic things on here and so forth. Some things that I'm not so keen on, but I'm just zooming around. But you can see here there is a kitchen. If you look at the rooms, you notice that the room reference lines, the centroid showing you where the room bounding criteria is on, and there's a color fill and so forth. I'm actually going to go over to the properties of this particular floor, and if you notice, if you scroll down or if you look down where it says identity data, there is this button here, view template. Now in this particular view, level 1, it doesn't have a view template, which is fine. I could actually create one from this. I could also add one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually add a template just to show you how a template can affect the view. So actually I'm going to just click back on the architecture tab, and I'm going to show you up here. If you go to the view tab, there's a view template portion right here. And if you click on that, you can see that you can apply template properties, create a template from current view, manage view templates. I will produce a couple other videos later on, getting a little more in depth into view templates. But for now, what I'm going to actually just use is the stock information that's set in this sample file. And I'm going to play around and modify it and show you how it can actually work to your advantage. So right now, I'm just going to actually click on the None button here that's associated with the view template parameter for this view. And when I do that, it pulls up a apply view template. By default, since I'm in a plan, it's showing me the plan related ones, but I would suggest that you search around and just get familiar with what you see on this dialog box. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to move the dialog box over a little bit so we can see what's going on the screen. If you see here, there's one called a view template called architectural plan. There's another one called plan highlight learning content, and there's another one called site plan. Now let me just expand this a little more. If you notice where it says architectural plan, there's a variety of parameters that are available to you. If you're familiar with Revit and you actually go to your VV command, you'll notice that the column headers there are actually right here in the row. So you should be familiar with view scale. These are all these graphic conventions and settings that you can use to show and not show what you need to on your views. So right here you can see that there's also the value box, and then there's also the include field. Which is really nice about templates is you can choose which fields are going to be affected by the view template that you're using. So before I get into any of these, what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to actually select the architectural plan template, and I'm going to hit apply. Now after I hit it, if you notice the room reference lines vanished. And part of that, and just because I know this, if I actually click on the V, you can actually click on any of these and you'll still be able to navigate properly, but I'm going to actually click on the VG overrides for this model. And when I do that, this is that familiar dialog box that most of you see when you hit VV or VG. And in here is all the controls and the visual settings for this particular view. And if you notice here, it also says the VG overrides for this architectural plan. And I'm going to actually scroll down to where it says rooms, and in the rooms categories, if I click that, you notice that the reference and interior fill are unchecked. Well, when I didn't apply this template there, the view already had those selected, but the second I applied the template overrode what was originally set and became the dictating parameters to set the graphics that we now see. So I'm going to actually hit OK. And another thing that I kind of want to do is, I like what I'm seeing so far in this template, let's say, but I don't really want the color scheme to be here. The color scheme, if you notice, says by name. Let's say I want to not have a color scheme for this particular architectural plan. I'm going to hit the name, and I'm actually going to just uncheck none. And I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to leave that as it is, and I'm going to actually hit apply again. When I hit apply again, you notice that the color fill has now gone. The legend is still there, which I'll remove once I finish this, but you can see how the template can modify this. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit OK. And if you notice, let me delete this legend out real quick. But if you notice right now, we have a applied view template called architectural plan. If I actually hit VV, you will notice that all the parameter fields are grayed out. What's really nice and amazing, at least to me, about the template is it is now the deciding factor on what is being shown in this particular view. So if you applied this template onto multiple sheets, it would allow you to have a consistent presentation for those particular sheets, whether they're color plans or floor plans or elevations, whatever. So it's really nice because if you've worked in a large firm, or if you worked in any firm, and me in particular, I've worked for a fair amount of large firms, when you have multiple users working in a Revit file, just so we can produce, we go into views and we start unchecking things and turning things on and off, and that can get a little hectic, and that can start to actually impact your drawings when you try to produce them. So using view templates on your construction documentation, in my opinion, is essential, because what it does is it preserves the integrity of the graphics that you've created for those documents. So I really like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually hit OK. So if I needed to, there's a variety of new features that have been presented in 2014, 2015. You can do a temporary override, and then what that will allow you to do is to change the visual graphics for that view, but then it will return it back to the template. In some cases, I've seen people come here and remove templates so they can do what they need to do because they don't fully understand why the template's on there and the reasoning behind it. That can get a little frustrating at times too, because if they don't put the template back on, you can't use it. It's not as powerful, but the beauty of it is once you update that template, whatever X amount of views that you have that template on will automatically update, and it's a great thing. I really, really love it. So the other thing I wanted to show is, let's say I really like this view. I'm just going to kind of get in this real quick and then send you on your way, but I like this view. I'm scrolling in and I'm looking, and what I would really like to do is have some like post-shade walls. So what I'm actually going to do in this case is I'm going to create a new template. I'm going to just take this one off just for the sake of making things easy. Now if I go VV, you can see that my parameter fields are now available. So what I want to do is I want to actually post-shade the walls. Actually, I want to post-shade a variety of elements. A nice little quick tip is if you select all and you go to the line portion. Actually, I'm sorry, not line, but if I'm going to actually click where it says cut patterns, and I'm going to click the override button, and then I'm going to actually pick a color. I am quite fond of gray, so I'm going to pick gray, and what I'm going to do is pick a solid fill. I'm going to hit OK, and what that did was it just put a solid fill on all these objects that can be cut in plan, which is nice. I'm trying to be consistent here, so I'm going to hit OK, and what that should do is, if you look, it gave me a nice gray post-shade wall. That's lovely. That's something I want. Another thing that I'm thinking about is I want to add some shadows. And let's see if I can do this. So I'm going to turn my shadows on. And actually, I just realized with my black background, that's probably not going to be as strong as I want it to be. So I'm going to turn that off. But at this point, let's say I like this template, and this is really what I want. I can actually just create a template from this view. rather than creating a template, calling it something, and then going through all the parameter fields and making adjustments. I like the idea of working on a view, creating the graphic sort of convention of what I want to portray, and then you go to view templates and you say create template from current view. And once you do that, I'll open up the dialog box, and this one I'm going to call it architectural plan to be consistent, or actually I'll call it architectural poche plan, and I'm going to hit OK. And once I do that, it opens up that same dialog box from before, and it's asking me for what preferences I want to use and check. Now, just for sake of this exercise, I'm not going to really get into it, and I will do another video getting a little more in depth with this whole process. But if I hit OK, now I've created that template. And so if I actually go, let's go back to, I'm going to apply the architectural plan. So you see the poche walls are off. But then if I go over to the architectural poche wall and hit that, now they're back on. And now that template's on there. So if I wanted to, I'm going to go to second floor here. Second floor has color and some things that I don't want it to necessarily show. So I'm going to actually just delete this legend out. And I'm going to hit my view template. And I'm going to apply that poche plan like I did on the first floor. And I'm going to hit OK. And when I did that, it poche'd the walls. It turned off the color, just like I liked. And if I really wanted to, let's see, I'll do one other thing. I'm going to actually do a window tile so I can have multiple screens open here. Close that one out because I don't really need that. Zoom all. So now you're seeing the first and second floor with the poche on it. The reason I'm doing this is I want to convey something to you so you can see what's going on. Let's say I don't really like this 1:100 scale drawing. Well, I can go up to my view templates and click on manage view templates, and I'm going to search for the poche plan that I was working on. And if you notice up here, there is the view scale. So this is where view templates can really come into play. I'm going to just change it to 1:50 just so you can see what's going to happen. And I'm going to hit OK. Now what I'm doing is I'm modifying the view template. So like I mentioned earlier, any of the views that have this template would update to the new settings. In this case, I'm going from 1:100 to 1:150, or 1:50. So when I hit OK, you notice that in the Revit world, the column lines and the annotations decrease because of the change in scale, but this is where that power comes into play. I can't tell you how many times I've, in a schematic design scenario where we're looking at a cartoon set and we're trying to determine what size that we want to scale our project to make sure it fits on the paper size that we've chosen, how this can allow us to go back and forth and really keep things consistent. So hopefully that kind of sheds a little bit light of what I've been rambling about in my blog. Definitely stay tuned for some more tutorials. This will not be the only one. And if you have any feedback, please leave some. I'm open to it. Otherwise, have a good one.